is Chip Kelly has decided to exit UCLA to join the Ohio State Buckeyes. But before we get to just why that's such a cool move and a good move, I want to get to this. Let's do the timeline, right? Because I understand how these things can feel like they're all coming at once, because they really are. But dates are important. So January 19th, Ohio State has hired Bill O'Brien, remember him, to be their offensive coordinator. And, for the first time, we're thinking, okay, Ryan Day is serious about this CEO head coaching role where he's going to give up the play calling privileges. But the thing about Bill O'Brien was he was going to be the guy, right? Will Howard, Julian Sayin, whomever it was going to be the quarterback, they were probably going to run an offense that was similar to the one that he was running at Alabama, if not New England. Let's remember the happier times, but also a guy that understands what it means to be a head coach in the Big Ten, as that guy, probably his tour de force was bringing Penn State back to a position where James Franklin could take it over and they could repeat being Penn State. Now, after he chose to take that job, we get about 12 days go by, right? January 31st, Jeff Hafley exits Boston College as the head coach to become defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, which is a good job, right? Not the least of which is because Jeff Hafley was an outstanding defensive coordinator at Ohio State. You remember him bringing us the Bosa brothers, bringing us Chase Young, and that 2019 defense that is still, for me, one of the standards for what I think of as the kind of defense you need to have to win conference championships, let alone get to the college football playoff and be successful. So with his exit, we got Boston College open looking for a head coach, and Bill O'Brien's name popped up for a number of reasons, not the least of which is he's a Massachusetts native. He's done 2 stints with the New England Patriots, and being close to BC, he understands, having gone to Brown, what it means to be head coach at BC, even as BC is a difficult job, to put it mildly. And yet being a head coach is still being a head coach, being in the ACC is still being in the ACC. So he decides to take that job. Same day, hours apart, Chip Kelly decides to exit UCLA as head coach to become the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Now, this one I was alluding to in last week's live show, right? Because it was very clear that Chip Kelly wanted to get out of UCLA. He had interviewed for the job at the Vegas Raiders that ended up going to someone else, right? Same thing with the Seattle Seahawks, but I think the Seahawks would have wanted him if he did not want to go to Ohio State. We'll get to that in a minute. But he ends up going to Ohio State, where he gets to do what he always wanted to do. He gets to coach ball and run the offense without having to worry about things like talking to me on media days or recruiting. And in the recruiting, man, we could have that discussion go on forever, because that's the moment where I remind y'all Will Lyles was a lot of their success at Oregon, while Chip Kelly was putting people in positions to succeed and giving rise to what I think is my favorite run of Oregon football ever. That includes like Jeremiah Masoli, Dennis Dixon, LaMichael James, the Black Mamba himself. We can keep going on here, but that was a very fun time. And then seeing what he was able to do at UCLA, which, by the way, is not an easy job, right? Winning 8 games in each of the last 3 years. It wasn't appreciated by UCLA folks for one reason or another, right? And I think most of this is Chip Kelly's looking at this going, this is a difficult job, and y'all expect to play at a high level. Given what we have, that's difficult to do. Now you're being forced to transition as the CEO of a major corporation to a large conference where you go from being a Pac-12 pillar to a Big Ten baby. And I don't know that Chip Kelly wanted them problems, least of which is when I talked to him or Ryan Day about the prospect of coaching against each other, neither one of them was looking forward to it. And them being friends, I think, helps with this, meaning that Ryan Day doesn't really have to worry about the offense in any way, because he learned the offense from Chip Kelly as quarterback at New Hampshire when Chip Kelly was head coach at New Hampshire. Again, they go way back. Now, after Chip Kelly decides to make that move to Ohio State, we get another opening for head coach in which we... If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.